Orestria, a goth girl in Japan, and I watch too much anime. I'm here to help your Anime Indecision. These are my reviews for the spring 2025 anime season, aka Season of the Witch.
You don't really know much about Halloween.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
No, not that one. This anime season was full of witches, mangaka, and ecchi, as well as plenty of cute girls doing cute things. But which witch anime did I watch? I'm recording this mid-August, which is about a month and a half later than normal, so we're keeping it a little casual. Let's go. Sword of the Demon Hunter, Kinshin Gentosho. A boy and his sister run away from their abusive dad. They're adopted by the sentinel of a sword maker village. The village has a tradition. They have a special shrine maiden who lives in the fire shrine up in the mountain. Only the sentinel and her husband, who are currently the same person, may see her. Predictably, the main guy is going to grow up to be the next sentinel, and his new adoptive sister is going to grow up to be the new shrine maiden. But what's up with his biological sister? This is another case of, I'm not familiar with the source material, but I can nevertheless tell it's being rushed. It knows where it wants to end the extra long first episode, and it has to show you all these things before it gets there, and it's running down them like a checklist. There are multiple scenes that should have allowed us to get to know the characters on an emotional level, to care for them, that we're just told about. If I think about the story the episode is telling, it's definitely interesting and has potential, but I cry during basically every movie. It is incredibly easy to make me cry. So it is a failure of presentation if you have a tragic inciting incident and my eyes are dry. Maybe I'm just over women being frigid in general. That said, there's always some fun to be had watching bland action guy get revenge, so good for thee, not for me. Kenshikai no Atelier Meister. Eiyu party no motto zatsu yo ga kari ga jitsu wa sento igai ga SSS rank datta to iu yoku aru hanashi. The unaware Atelier Meister. Kuruto is a member of a strong adventuring party for no good reason since he has no combat skills. Oh, I'm sorry. Aptitudes. Yes, you're very original anime. The author declared that an adventuring party can only have 4 members, so they decided to kick the main guy out so they can get a mage. Which is kind of fair, but kicking him out was a bit too much. Why can't he just be their servant instead of an official party member? That's what he's been doing anyway. Well, the anime doesn't care, so we will just be moving on. Dude goes to Hello Hello Work, which I guess is legally distinct from the real-life Japanese job service Hello Work. They test his combat aptitudes off-screen, and he's a G rank on all of them. But for plot reasons, they can't test out his combat skills until next week. He gets some temp work on a make-work wall repair task, and single-handedly repairs half the wall by himself in 3 days with almost no tools. The foreman hires him, because it can't be a public work project to help people with no jobs if the job is done, but my guy thinks he's a failure. Because this is one of those anime where the main guy is incredibly OP but is never going to realize it. I fundamentally do not understand this humor. I just get frustrated and annoyed. But someone out there must like it because they keep making anime about it. This one has decent animation, nice character designs. I can't judge if it's funny or not personally, but I will give it the benefit of the doubt. Good for thee, not for me. Bet this lady could make the money she needs if she sold her fucking bobby pin collection. She looks so cute without them. Ballpark de Sukamaeta. Catch me at the ballpark. At a Japanese baseball stadium, there are beer girls. They hustle up and down stairs to bring beer right to your seat. It's low-key a sexist job. They're all cute, wear a cute pink uniform, and it seems like confidence and flirting with customers is the way to success. Possibly their pay is related to how much beer they sell. I don't know, I've never been to a baseball stadium. If so, I hate that. But it's not the anime's fault. What is the anime's fault is that this pretty confident woman is going to become utterly focused on this bland loner business guy, who is, of course, the actual main character. I don't know why there are so many anime like this. Is the idea that women will watch for romance and guys will watch for the woman? Is that why so much romance anime is like this? I want to be excited about the guy too. Also, this anime being about her flirting or teasing with him while she's working, not the anime's fault. But media like this is why there are guys who think any woman talking to them is an invitation, that a smile means interest. Did I give this anime a fair shake? Probably not. But the meet cute made me uncomfortable. I don't like baseball, and if a romance like this isn't doing something for me quickly, then I don't personally need it. I don't think there's anything really bad about this, though, so good for thee, not for me. Jinbei in Witch Hat is such a fucking vibe. This is absolutely wild. Anamajo ga shinu made, until the witch dies. Meg is a witch. Well, a young witch in training. She lives with her master and surrogate mother, who is one of the greatest witches in the world. Witches aren't some secret either. They're a normal and integrated part of society. Meg has a bright future ahead of her. Until her 17th birthday, when her master reveals that she's under a death curse that'll kill her in a year. Her only hope is to collect enough tears of joy in time to save herself. This joins the rarefied list of anime that made me ugly cry in the first episode. I thought this was a serious contender for anime of the season, and then I dropped it. I kind of hate the main character, which is a big problem. Meg is such an old pervy man, she feels less like Yuri bait, and more like the kind of guy who's the target audience for Symphogear, reborn into a young woman. The overarching plot, in the sense of her curse, and the world building are so strong, but they're fighting against the episodic plots. And despite the first couple of episodes being beautiful, powerful character studies, the characters are not holding up. It feels very hodgepodge. Meg very rarely gathers tears, except for at one point where she's gathered a couple dozen between episodes. I was tempted to keep watching to see if they pulled this mess together in the end, but I never wanted to click on the new episode when it was available. Huge disappointment. I'm going to put it in good for thee, not for me, because it wasn't slow, the witch designs are fun, it's not an isekai or an anime about high school. There's a lot of quality here, just not for me. Too hot to wear the hat the whole time. It's so hot. Haite kudasai, Takamine-san. Please put them on, Takamine-san. Dude goes to the PE shed to eat lunch because he has no friends. He accidentally witnesses the school's goddess, the titular Takamine-san's tits. He's so bewildered by the situation that he barely registers the oddness of the fact that she took off her shirt to put on her bra. In classic anime form, Takamine is not only the most beautiful girl in school, but also the best in athletics, academics, and the student council president. In fact, there's a rumor that she's never gotten less than 100% on a test. So main guy gets his second shock of the day as she receives a 98 on the math test. Her response? To take off her underwear.
いや、そうじゃなくて、教室でなぜお尻を
Oh, they're really proud of this. They played it in full multiple times in the episode, and it is long. It turns out that Takamine has minor time travel powers, but to activate them, she needs to strip and also sacrifice her undergarments to the Time Lords because they disappear forever afterwards. The main guy saw her boobs outside of the context of her power, so now he can remember it. At this point, I'm impressed with this. I was never going to watch more than one episode, but usually a high school ecchi, I can't make it 3 minutes in. Silly as this is, there's a reason for her stripping. It's diegetic. She's not bothered or flustered. It's her choice, and she's in control. It's gross that it's about underage people, but that's anime. Really, for like the category of trash that this is, it's quite good. Until we get to serious, horrific blackmail, at which point I can't endorse this even as ecchi garbage. Just be porn. A side note, the most unrealistic part of all of this is that she owns cute bras and underwear. Do you know how expensive cute bras are? Especially big bras like that in Japan. This girl is spending luxury car amounts of money on underwear that she knows damn well are disposable. Could never be me. Apothecary Diaries. Kusuriya no Hitorikoto. I'm going to keep this brief because I've talked about this anime at least 3 times before. Watch Apothecary Diaries. Science, court intrigue, comedy, and romance in a historical Chinese context. Amazing characters, well-constructed and beautiful storytelling. It's one of the best anime of the last few years. Your Forma. We're in a science fiction version of our world, with cyberpunk, brain-diving, humanoid robots bound by Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, all that good stuff. Our main character is a cyber detective, and her partner is a particularly high-functioning model of robot. We're immediately off to the races, working on a case where it seems like a robot has harmed a human. I'm in no way complaining about this premise. Have we seen it before? Sure. But we've also seen 700 isekai, and some of them are great. That said, I have some serious questions about this case, and while we're being told our main girl is a very special and good detective, her actions don't seem to be backing that up to me. There's a common, effective strategy where you start with some light cases, establish the character dynamics and how the world works, then you do the big change type case. And I quickly started to suspect that we had somehow started with the big change case. I looked it up and it looks like they skipped the first light novel. Because they skipped all the establishing bits, nothing has the impact it ought to have. My detachment makes me feel bored. I'm gonna give it credit for being something different and say good for thee, but not for me, and maybe read the light novel instead. Saikyo no Ousama, Nidome no Jinsei wa nani o suru? Beginning after the end. In a technologically advanced world, the role of king is nevertheless decided by sword fighting, and our main dude is in fact the king. I guess he bombs people. I don't know, the presentation of the opening was kind of weird. I would argue if you're the greatest king, you don't have to bomb people or do sword fights or fend off assassins. He then dies, I guess. I don't know how, they just cut to him floating in water, and then he's reborn in a literal baby sense. And we get my favorite moment of this whole episode, finding out that the reborn king's name is Arthur. We then spend the rest of the episode with him as a baby, expositing about this world mainly through reading books. Folks, this was an incredibly dull episode. And poorly animated too. Camera pans do not hide your still frame sins, anime. I'm sorry, this is bad. Ishunde chirio shite ita no ni yakutazu to tsuiho sareta tensai shiushi yami healer toshite tanoshiku ikiru. The brilliant healers knew life in the shadows. After a brief exposition about how healers are licensed and important to the country, but not our main dude fucks off entirely. We spend the next 5 or more minutes with all the harem girls showing up and just bickering with each other. I got so bored I skipped ahead to a scene of the main dude ending up with yet another girl via slavery, and then we see her topless. I don't even have anything to say. I guess in a literal, technical sense it doesn't look bad, but it's unwatchable. So it goes in the bad category. Rock wa lady no tashinami deshite. Rock is a lady's modesty. Our main girl with the tragic hair also happens to have an obsession with rock music. Her mom remarries into a noble family, so she gives up the guitar. Her new goal is to be the noble maiden, the fanciest fancy girl at the fancy girl high school. And we all know what an all-girls aristocratic school in anime means. Lesbianism. She discovers the other candidate for top girl is into rock and roll, and then they rock and roll battle and Yuri bait together. Instead of the Yuri baiting being looking at each other and blushing, the Yuri baiting is lusciously drawn S&M scenes, used as a metaphor for showing who's coming out on top in the battle.
I know
anime
who use subtext, and they're all cowards.
The rest of the story is a combination of normal high school rock band stuff, with the added element that it's all supposed to be a secret. The characters are fun, their interactions are fun, the music rocks, it's well animated. What more do you need? I'm practically allergic to music anime, but the raw passion here? Yes, I recommend this. Denja no yusho wa seiritsu suru? Iya, shinai. Can a boy and girl friendship hold up? No, it can't. He was a boy, she was a girl. Can I make it any more obvious? Ugh. So this anime and I got off on the wrong foot because that fucking title. Wow. What a horrible, toxic, untrue trope. Which of course is going to be true in this anime. Today's bland everyman is much more likable and relatable than normal. He's not a weird otaku pervert loner. He has a craft, a passion in life. No, not him. This guy makes flower jewelry. A blue-haired manic pixie dream girl has been watching him because she likes the sparkle in his eyes as he creates. She decides to help him sell his jewelry by marketing the pieces. They declare eternal friendship, then she sits on his lap and talks about marrying him, as friends do. And because it wouldn't be a generic anime high school rom-com without a second girl to make it a who will he choose show, we do in fact have one. The first girl grabs her by the tits. I am gonna give this a good for thee, not for me, because Even though I loathed it, I do think it's better than a lot of anime in this trope, and I understand that most of my problems are subjective. Nazotoki wa dinner no ato de, the dinner table detective. We find ourselves at a dinner party filled with socialites, including a lovely group of girls who bicker at each other, but instantly give a united front to someone on the outside, as well they should. And they need to, because the description of the suspect of the attempted murder that just happened matches all of them. Don't worry, it's fine, because this lady is secretly a detective. Like, maybe not a great one, but better than the rich fuckboy who's her partner. The butler did it. It being help solve the case and give helpful tips, which is basically how the rest of the anime goes. Every time. I was very warm on this at the start. It was campy and fun. But ultimately, it's just too formulaic. The investigation feels pointless because you're just waiting for her to go home and have the butler insult her and then solve it for her. Which, I'm just gonna say it, it's real man swoops in and solves everything energy. It's fine. I wouldn't watch it unless you're a diehard Detective Reasoning fan. And Shirley. An orphan girl gets adopted by a pair of siblings living in a place called Green Gables on Prince Edward Island. Can't believe I'm talking about this in my anime reviews. Anne is an energetic girl, full of imagination, who will not shut up. I'm Canadian. I had to read this book in elementary school, and I remember being bored shitless the whole time. Also, I read this the same year that I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the whole trilogy, in 1 month. I find this cloying. Others may find it quaint. I don't remember the plot enough to say how successful it is as an adaptation, but it's well animated. They're doing a good job of capturing the beauty of the environment. Good for thee, not for me. Kanpeki sukite, kawaii ge ga nai to konyaku haki sareta seijo wa ringoku ni urareru. The Too Perfect Saint tossed aside by my fiancé and sold to another kingdom. Whoo, paragraph title. Countries need to have at least one saint to keep them safe. The Japanese term used is seijo, which is gendered to mean woman. But since this is a fantasy anime world, somehow, this country still managed to have an extremely patriarchal society, and the saints themselves have no real autonomy. Our main girl, Philia, doesn't smile. Stunning how all the abuse didn't make her more smiley. She decided that to counter how charmless she is, she would have to work hard. She succeeded at becoming the most perfect saint in history, but still not winning the favor of her parents, townsfolk, or prince. Only her sister Mia, who is also a saint, loves her. Since the prince would much rather have the pleasant Mia as his bride, he sells Philia to another country. You can literally be the most important, powerful person in the country and not be valued if you're a woman insufficiently presenting womanhood. The plot of this anime is you'd be prettier if you smiled. Thankfully, Philia's new country does value her, although I noticed that all soldiers and people in power are still men. Being appreciated, given space to discover herself, she starts to warm up, enjoy life, and make friends. We also spend time with her sister Mia, coping with the disappearance of her sister and the asshole prince, which, to me, was the more compelling side of the story. I will absolutely take any political intrigue I get in anime, even if it is kind of shallow. This anime really has a bit of everything, but overall, I think it's a character study. Watching Philia open up, watching Mia struggle with being a saint while also wanting to burn everything down. Orestria likey. Shin Samurai Den Yaiba Samurai Legend. We start in the jungle, with a deadbeat-coded dad and his Goku-coded son. With the help of their animal companions, Yaiba, the aforementioned Goku alike, beats a gorilla. They then head back to Japan, where dad gets his dojo-owning childhood friend to look after Yaiba, and then Yaiba goes to school with that guy's kendo-skilled daughter. This manga came out shortly after Ranma half, and I'm surprised it was considered okay to have such a similar setup. This is very much Dragon Ball, Ranma, and Detective Conan put together in a blender. The latter being because this is literally by the author of Detective Conan. It has an older sensibility which I do not care for. Yaiba's never seen a girl before, flips up the main girl's skirt, yet also somehow knows the cat call her when she's in the change room. Nah, folks, I'm out. Given it's a legacy manga by one of the most famous manga authors, it's got a great studio, it's gonna be a smoothly animated adaptation, but I just can't. Good for thee, not for me. Slime Tao Shite Sambiaku nen shiranai uchi ni level max ni nattemashita. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level, season 2. An overworked Japanese woman gets isekai'd, and the kind goddess makes her into an immortal witch with a young woman's body. She then accidentally becomes the most powerful being alive by killing slimes every day for 300 years and maxing out her level. Despite wanting to just relax, her powers end up bringing people to her, And eventually she has the biggest found family I've ever seen. Like, this anime has a one trick, and it's, let's introduce 1 to 4 new characters. Here's the thing. This anime, it's not good. It meanders along. The animation is optional. I get that it's supposed to be a comfy, healing type anime, but there are episodes that are straight up boring. Also, I make better punchlines for their setups than they do. In episode 8, there's this jellyfish girl who draws haunted paintings. Then when there's an art exhibition, they make a point of inviting the demons. And I'm like, oh, the joke is that the demons are going to love the art. The jellyfish girl said she can never sell her stuff, but she's going to find her market with the demons. Nah, the demons also just find it weird and we all move on. It's low-key inept. But it's entirely cute girls. For the most part, they're not being sexualized on a scale of anime. And it promotes found family, so I'll give it a pass. It's mediocre. Guilty Gear Strive, Dual Rulers. Disclosure up front, I've never even thought about playing the game. I knew exactly one character from the franchise going in. The plot? Look, it's a fighting game anime. They're less interested in making sure you understand the nuances as driving forward in an excuse to get people together to fight and show off as many characters as they can. This is Sin, our main character for this anime. He wants to talk to the girl who did that to his parents. Not get revenge, just talk to her, figure this all out. He is treated like a comedy side character, like Scrappy-Doo vibes. Which leads me to a thought. When you're making something like this, you need to decide if your target audience is focused on the existing fans or on onboarding new people. Because this anime seems to be trying to do both, but those are conflicting goals. I feel like the intro scene was for existing fans more than for the purpose of making this anime good. Like showing the story of the parents with these painterly backgrounds, obviously important to game fans since they're important people and it's fun to see this lore. But it doesn't mean anything to noobs like me, and I spent the whole first episode getting attached to these people who now aren't going to matter, and I don't care about Sin. And that would be fine. I could just say, okay, this anime is for the fans. But then, if the bias is towards existing fans, do we need the pro wrestling style announcer telling us who everyone is every time they appear? I'm not opposed to a goofy thing full of fighting game characters with only the vaguest hints of plot. One of my favorite pieces of media of all time is Street Fighter II, the animated movie, but you're supposed to have good fights in exchange. This is mediocre, probably only worth a watch if you're deep into Guilty Gear lore, in which case you've probably already watched it. Kowloon Generic Romance. A hot, muggy summer in the second iteration of the Kowloon Walled City screams of nostalgia, even to someone like me who's never been there. And the mystery of the sci-fi obelisk floating mysteriously in the sky above, its shininess contrasting with the dinginess you can feel through the screen. This anime feels like watching a random 90s anime on a movie channel on TV, despite the manga being from 2019. Oh? This isn't a generic start to the review. Well, despite the name of the anime, this is far from a generic romance. So there. This anime is about two adults, praise be to Haruhi, who work at the same real estate agency. The will they, won't they situation is built on a sci-fi mystery that I am in absolutely no way going to spoil. This also might be the queerest het romance I've watched. Not the main couple, but there's a lot of stuff going on with the side characters, which I will be talking about in a little bit more detail in the trans non-binary highlight section. And that's not the only facet of queerdom represented here. You have sci-fi, you have mystery, you have a strong vibe, you have interesting characters struggling with themselves, with their interpersonal relationships, and with the world around them. And lest I forget, the main woman, she's so fucking hot. I definitely recommend this. I can't think of another anime quite like it. That's the problem with a mystery anime is I can't fucking tell you nothing. Katai Naka no Osan, Kensei ni Naru. From old country bumpkin to master swordsman. Our main character has been teaching sword fighting at his family's dojo for more than 20 years. Living his country life, ignoring his dad who literally never says anything other than, but we're grandbabies though. Grandpa even suggests he could try to find a wife among his students, which, ew. A previous student of his comes from the capital to recruit him as teacher for her order of knights. He thinks he's not up to it because he's over the hill. But we actually find out that, yeah, he is a giant badass. And folks, this sword fight was pretty fucking good. However, 99% of the knights are guys, and they are wearing the same uniform. The two named women knights are not in uniform. The one who recruited him to be instructor, her outfit shows thigh and crotch line and her belly button through her shirt. The other named knight lady, very short skirt. This other ex-student here, thighs, boobs, abs out. Every other woman in this world, long, fully covering skirts. I don't think this anime is going to go hard on the harem part, but it's clear that the appeal here is supposed to be primarily the women and their outfits, and I'm over it. I don't need this. Good for thee, not for me, because the production quality is very good. There's so many witch anime and it's so hot. I literally was intending to wear this hat the whole time until I discovered how hot it was. And then I said, okay, I'm just going to wear it for the witch ones. Kurosetsushi Midori no Majohen. Black Butler Emerald Witch Arc. Kurosetsushi is the tale of a young aristocrat in Victorian England, Ciel Phantom Hive. It's anime, let's not question the French name. In the wake of his family's horrible deaths, he sells his soul to the devil. Well, devil. Sebastian wants Ciel's soul, but not yet. He wants to marinate that a bit. So he will be Ciel's butler until the day Ciel finds his vengeance. And Ciel inherited the family business, dealing with the underworld of England for the queen. So having a butler with inhuman powers is a very handy thing. This arc was better in one episode than the whole damn school arc. Kurosetsushi Watch Order. Season 1, at least the first half. Book of Circus, Book of Murder, Book of Atlantic, Emerald Witch Arc. Second half of Season 1 and Season 2 are not canon and are retconned by everything else. Public School Arc is unwatchable garbage. I love this anime. It has a very uneven tone that makes it really hard to recommend to people. But if you're someone who loves the gothic vibe and absolutely gorgeous men, it's worth a look. Orestria likey. Like, a lot. Whatever seiken kokka no akutoku ryoshu. I'm the evil lord of an intergalactic empire. Our main guy works for a black company, but comforts himself with the knowledge that at least it's all for his wife and daughter that he loves. Till he finds out his wife's cheating on him, to the point where his daughter isn't biologically his, and then someone frames him for his embellishment from the company, and he dies alone and poor. And then this glorious motherfucker shows up. Wish you were in a better anime, bro. The guide offers to isekai main guy. Since he used to be really into Gundam, he chooses to be a noble in a sci-fi future. And chooses to become an infamous space pirate because fuck being a good guy. That turned out poorly. He's gonna be an asshole now. And you know what? That would be fine. I do get a bit sus of an anime making the main femme character of the first episode be just a complete monster of a human being. But episode 1 was entirely set up, so I venture warily into episode 2. Whereupon Bro orders an AI robot maid where he can customize every part of her down to the nipples and immediately gropes her boobs upon her arrival. This was gross and spent more than an episode before getting into any kind of fun evil commander stuff because it was busy being misogynistic. I'm gonna go ahead and call this bad. Lazarus, from the creator of Cowboy Bebop, so you at least know there's going to be some sick action scenes if nothing else. We're in a near future, and there's a miracle drug that has swept the world named Hapna. Non-addictive, but removes all pain, and is incredibly cheap to manufacture. It didn't fix all the problems in the world, but it certainly seems like a big win. Until the doctor who created it announces to the world that everyone who took the drug is going to die in 30 days, unless they find him and get the antidote from him. A special crew of misfits are gathered as a crack team to try to track him down. Spies, hackers, and a jailbreaking parkour expert. Lazarus's biggest failing becomes clear in the comparison to Bebop. Not just because it doesn't have the sauce that Bebop does, but there's a crucial difference. Bebop was mostly episodic. Lazarus probably shouldn't have been. In Bebop, it's not a big deal that everything more or less returns to the status quo at the end of the episode, because it has that meandering feeling to it. Floating through a life you're not even sure you want to live. Purgatory. Lazarus's entire setup is a ticking clock. It's not unreasonable that they're chasing down leads and ending up back at square one in a logical sense, but it feels bad. It gives an episodic feeling that is at odds with the premise being a race against time to prevent the extinction of the human race. This scene is cinema, though. There are great moments here. I like the characters well enough, but it's actually impressive to put in this much effort and have me not care at all. This has no value beyond being an animation showcase. So, good for thee, not for me. Witch Watch. Witch Watch is about a high school witch, Nico. She had gone away for training, but now she's back, and she needs to make people happy to improve as a witch. She's also living with her childhood friend, who is an Oni, and and also her familiar. Get used to humans being familiars because that's just a thing in this anime. This is a comedy anime, despite the assumptions some people make when they hear something is a shonen manga. Kurosatsushi is a shonen too. Witch Watch has a lighthearted tone and a lot of meta jokes about anime and the industry, as well as a lot of witch shenanigans. A lot of Nico's spells have conditions or downsides that tend towards the wacky. It's not the funniest anime of this season, but in a lot of seasons it would have been. It has a lot of heart, and some of the spell interactions are used in clever ways that makes me feel like it could actually get stronger as it continues on. But for now, Orestria likey. Princession Orchestra. Middle school girls know, but have never spilled to anyone else ever, that there's a phone app masquerading as a girly version of YouTube that actually connects you to a world full of cute fantasy mascots and has time dilation so that you can enjoy a live concert before dinner. There's no way in hell that that's a secret, but okay. Also, apparently no one is abusing the time dilation to study a bunch or practice a skill, unless that skill is becoming an idol. Because basically all one does in alopecia is either watch girls do idol concerts, or do your own idol concerts, or be attacked by monsters. Thankfully, there are magical girls called princesses. Like something right out of Symphogear, they power their fighting skills by singing and punch and kick the shit out of things. I miss Symphogear. It's kind of a trade-off. I think Symphogear is a better anime all around, but Symphogear is really vying for the attention of people perving on the girls, to the point where anytime I foolishly seek out merch for it, I die of asexual embarrassment. Princession has its own issues, though. It's definitely targeted at a younger age group. I haven't watched Precure, but I assume it's like this. It's also really sexist. Not only is Alishtapia only accessible by girls, but our villains are all sexy rock and roll dudes. At first, my headcanon was that they turned evil because they weren't allowed into Alishtapia despite being really femme. But I noticed that they subtly have animal ears in their hair, so I think they're secretly Alistapians. The anime hadn't said anything official by the time I stopped watching. I think it's only worth the watch if you're very much into magical girl stuff, because I don't think it has much value for someone else. Mediocre. Maebashi Witches. A frog mascot gathers girls with magic potential to a special store. They can combine their magic powers to grant people's wishes, which apparently just means singing a motivational idol song. Doing so will improve their magic powers, and eventually they will become witches able to use magic even in the real world. These two, the tomboy and the twin buns girl, have no real personality yet, which is actually a big improvement over the blondie, whose personality is saying choco in every other sentence. The main girl's fine. She's motivated less by a desire to become a witch and more by a love of photography, but she's basically a standard Genki girl. And then there's Cunty McCuntface over here, just bringing pure, unadulterated hatred to every interaction. She makes the cute girls doing cute things part of the anime unbearable. Most of each episode is the girls bickering, and I don't really care for the idol bits. But there's the solving people's wishes part, right? Boy. The first customer seemed like she was choosing between going to school to be a doctor or a nurse, or I assumed her, actual third wish. But the conclusion to this was, we'll cheer for her with an idol song and she'll be happy. I literally can't tell you what the girl actually wished for, which is a huge problem. This anime is bad. Gorilla no kami kara kago sareta reijou wa oritsu kishidan de kawagarareru. The gorilla god's go-to girl. In this world, when you're 16, you choose a card. This is probably meant to be something controlled by fate more than pure luck. And the card has an animal, and you gain that animal's blessing. Our main girl gets the gorilla blessing. This blessing is incredibly rare, and it's one of the best blessings for combat. It's also incredibly embarrassing to her because this girl has one driving motivation: not standing out. Never mind that she had briefly fantasized about being a peacock and being a model, which is incredibly out of character given her stated driving motivation. She thinks it's ungirly to be a gorilla, so she doesn't want anyone to know. We're in an extremely sexist world where girls go to parties to get a good husband and men go to network. The knights are entirely guys, with the only exception being our girl, and she is being forced to join them because of the gorilla blessing. Full disclosure, I loved the first episode. It was my kind of stupid. But further episodes are based more around the bitchy girls at school being jealous and aggressively scheming than anything else. Not wanting to stand out is all well and good, and a very Japanese character trait, honestly. But when she is so into it that she won't use her powers to break out of a box because she feels awkward, girl, all your problems are of your own making. I was riding so high from the fun I had in the first episode that I watched too many more episodes out of momentum. I think there is fun to be had if you can accept the conceit of the entire plot existing because the main girl is spineless. So, mediocre. Joto dake ai ga omoi dark elf ga isekai kara oikakete kita. Yandere dark elf, she chased me all the way from another world. Hinata got isekai to be the hero that defeats the Demon King, and I thank this anime for yada-yadaing over all that, because the only part that really matters is his party. The cat girl striker, the priestess, and the dark elf mage. She's very into him, and is devastated to discover that saving the world means he can return to Japan. Our girl is not to be deterred, though. Not the barriers between worlds, not the fact that her man is like 14 years old, and certainly not the fact that he just isn't that into her is going to hold her back. My opinion is that there is nothing here for me. I like the main girl a lot more than I expected to going in. I do not get the appeal of the young boy main character, and it makes everything uncomfortable. But at least the lady is naked and sexual because she wants to be. I'd say just be porn, but apparently you should check out the manga for that. Kakushite Makina-san. Makina-san's a love bot? Our main guy is a shy, nerdy guy who loves robots. On the way home from school, it seems there's been some kind of explosion nearby. When he gets to his house, the most beautiful girl in school is sitting outside his door. Turns out she's secretly an ultra-advanced robot. It was her house that blew up, and she knows he's a robot nerd, so she wants him to help repair her. Once the titular Makina-san is repaired, we find out that not only is she a robot, she is a sex robot, able to use her powers of seduction for spying. In theory, because she hasn't had sex yet, and her first mission is to go to high school. More ridiculously, we find out in the second episode she can't even access her files to learn how to have sex. There were some funny moments here. Some were unintentional, like the way the camera angles are desperate to show even a hint of titty, even though we had full uncensored nipple in the first 3 seconds. But some were intentional, like this is high art. I still think about this screen cap. But the plot has tied itself in an absolute pretzel, trying to be as sexual as possible without having sex. And this problem would be solved if this anime would just be porn. Jiru Sensei Sensei Mononoke Kogiroku Sensei ga nazo o toite shimao kara. The Mononoke lecture logs of Shuzenshi Sensei, he just solves all the mysteries. A schoolgirl who genuinely can't stop herself from helping others accidentally gets embroiled in mysteries, most of which have an urban legend flavor to them. And her new literature teacher, Shuzenshi Sensei, debunks and solves these situations with deductive reasoning. Y'all should know by now that I'm a sucker for deductive reasoning shows. This anime being set in a post-war Japan gives it an unusual flavor, which really helps combat the high schoolness. And I think it's a great era for dealing with urban legends. This is a good anime. I have no complaints. Or rather, my complaint is, why did this air this season when I'm drowning in anime I want to watch instead of last season, which was dull as dirt? Good for thee, not for me. I'm going to watch all this shoujo stuff we've been blessed with instead. Shoujo anime like Zatsudabi. That's Journey. A starting manga author who already has an agency just won a newcomer prize, and she uses her prize money to go on a trip seeking inspiration. Side note, she has fewer followers than me, and I find that hard to believe. She polls her followers on where she should go, and then she does so. This anime does what a travelogue should do. It makes me want to go to those places. It's also a treatise on how artists need experiences to fuel inspiration. She sometimes invites her friends and fellow creatives along with her. Honestly, this is the kind of first episode that could be a total standalone, so if you're interested, you could give that a try. The thing is, this anime is not very animated, and it's actually up against another travel anime with a mangaka, and that anime is one of the most gorgeous anime of the season. Zatsu means something like haphazard. It's also a pun with the English that. And this anime is the Zatsu travel option this time around. I'm putting it in mid-tier. Vigilante, Boku no Hero Academia Illegal. My Hero Academia Vigilantes. A spin-off of My Hero Academia focused on vigilantes. That is, unlicensed superheroes. Our main character, nice guy, clearly looks up to the heroes, even using an All Might hoodie as his superhero costume. But he doesn't have the kind of quirk that would allow him to be a real hero. He can glide along surfaces at about the speed of a slow bike as long as he has 3 points of contact with the surface. He's such a nice guy that he lets off stress by going around doing good deeds, which is adorable. And he's letting off stress caused by consistently running into a gang of superpowered street toughs that, I don't know how they're this obvious about these things in a world full of superheroes, but sure. Nice Guy is having a nice chat with Popstep, a pastel goth bat of an underground idol. Can I still use the expression underground when she's up on a lamppost? Nice Guy can do nothing as the assholes from earlier show up yet again and start threatening sexual violence. This is the one named femme character we've had so far. Am I stuck in the early 90s? They both get saved by this Batman ripoff, and he's trying to track down drug dealers. There's a lot of fun animation. The comic book styling is very cute. Apparently there are cameos for My Hero Acca fans too. Love the idea of focusing on people with lesser quirks because it really opens up the potential for interesting fights. But this... Popstep is barely allowed to be a character. She's being used as a plot device to motivate the guy. And I don't need more of this in my life. Sorry. Good for thee, not for me. Summer Pockets. Our main character, feeling like a wounded bird from some kind of trauma, has come to an island to help relatives clean up after Grandma's passing and to mend his injured heart. Because he is like a wounded bird, you see. No, like, he literally says out loud, "I'm a wounded bird," twice, and "I'm hurt in my heart," once. I enjoyed looking at the island, soaking up the summer vibes, waiting for something to happen, and waiting. I can absolutely get into something slower, but this just felt like nothing. Or rather, like a bunch of scenes that aren't particularly connected, and it wasn't able to keep my attention. It's mediocre. Hashtag Compass 2.0, Sento Setsuri Kaiseki System. Hashtag Compass 2.0, Combat Providence Analysis System. We're in a video game where heroes from other worlds do capture the flag type battles as their duty. These battles are non-lethal and somehow generate energy that the Compass world needs to run. Which makes it a bit of a problem that Shinigami 13 over here doesn't want to fight. Especially when halfway through the episode, they suddenly decide to have a plot. Enemies flood through a crack in the sky, and 13 is the only one who can stop them. Can I say, it undermines the threat level somewhat if you suggest that this is potentially world-ending, but also not a big enough of a deal to stop the pop idol concert. The thing is, generally speaking, this is mid. But I thought it was going to be hot garbage, so I accidentally ended up impressed with how passable it was. It wasn't all garbage CG fights, and I'm a sucker for a Jeanne d'Arc character. My biggest problem with episode 1 was like, guys, you have 12 episodes planned, you don't have to show every character in the first episode. And then episode 2 started by introducing 5 more characters, and I decided I was out. I'm going to say mediocre, which is probably being a bit kind, but fuck it, it's my list. Shiunji no Kodomotachi, the children of the Shiunji family. We joined the Shiunji family, nouveau riche, and living in the swankiest part of Tokyo. We've got 7 siblings living all together with nary a sign of their parent. All they talk about is sex, dating, and the fact that they are siblings. A totally normal thing to talk about with your siblings. We get to witness main guy reacting to his big sister's boobs bounce, though in defense, they did have a ridiculous sound effect. In a twist that I'm gonna spoil, but only because it is extremely obvious given their close ages and utter lack of familial resemblance, most of them are adopted. I do not personally think that discovering you were adopted would make you feel okay with having those feelings with someone you've grown up with all your life. I'm really tired of anime courting incest without even having the courage to be incest. Like, at least just go for it instead of this wishy-washy having it both ways thing. I still wouldn't watch it, but like, say it with your whole chest. But even if you feel that them being adopted makes a huge difference, then why is this the only way they were capable of speaking to each other for the 15 minutes before they found out? By the way, this is by the creator of Rent-A-Girlfriend. If that doesn't mean anything to you, check out Mother Basement's roast of Rent-A-Girlfriend. This is trash in the bad way. Gundam G-Quacks. I wonder how wrong you have to type that into Google before it doesn't know what you're typing. In a space colony, still struggling from economic stresses post-war, Machu is living a pretty normal life, going to school in Juku and getting in stupid teenager fights with her busy mom, until she runs into a girl around the same age, living a very different life. This girl's an orphan and doing illegal transporter jobs, and this chance encounter drags Machu into a whole different world. By the by, are you a terrorist? Simply a hilarious thing to ask someone. You're probably wondering how a couple of anime high school girls get their hands on a fucking Gundam. There are forces beyond their comprehension. wouldn't mind, because I'm a girly who hasn't watched hardly anything in the UC before. The war may be officially over, but that doesn't mean things are calm. The military be militarying, there's terrorism and political machinations by people from the existing Gundam franchise. They lose a Gundam, Machu gets in it, gets low-key addicted to her new type powers using the system, and we're off to the races. I think this anime has a good balance between the political stuff and the high school kids. As for the teen characters, I thought their plotline was shaky, but I was enjoying them. And as someone who got tired of G-Witch very quickly, I wasn't expecting to like the Gunduk high schoolers. I didn't like the Gundam designs that much myself, but I'm the girl whose favorites are Wing and Death Sight. I can't put this off any longer, can I? Hello, my name is Orestria. I have a confession to make. I can't seem to finish a Gundam series anymore. I've never been in a sport group. That's the best I can do. That said, it's Gundam. It has great quality, cool fights. I just don't think this is pulling the pieces together. It's not having the intended impact. I'm not sure if it's a pacing problem or if I'm the problem. Good for thee, not for me. Apocalypse Hotel. There's a top-tier hotel in Ginza that offers impeccable hospitality. It's fully self-running, having a variety of robotic housekeepers, and is even self-sustaining with solar power. Too bad the apocalypse happens, so there aren't really many guests. Humanity flees the Earth. But before he goes, the hotel's owner enjoins his robots to keep the hotel running until humanity returns. Life is like a No, I'm not going to do that. Being a hotelier is an ever-changing job because you deal with so many different clients and situations. Nice folks, snooty people, cranky jet-lagged people, aliens with no Earth language. This might be the best anime of the season, especially if we're limiting ourselves to only new releases. It easily could have been melancholic and depressing, a totally valid vibe as someone who really likes Nier. But Apocalypse Hotel goes beyond that. It can be sweet, adorable, and funny as well. Poignant is probably the best word for it. Definitely recommended. Uchuchin Moo. Our main girl is a university student with a bit of a problem. No, not the spaceship crashed into her apartment. That's mostly okay. The problem is that the cat-shaped alien that brought with it keeps tearing apart all the appliances in her house, but doesn't know how to put them back together again. Moo is from a species of alien that obliterated all their most intelligent members in a war, meaning they don't understand their own technology well enough to maintain it. So they've come to Earth to try to learn how stuff works. An educational comedy anime about a university girl trying to overcome her shyness and her alien cat should be right up my alley. Should be. But the comedy doesn't work for me at all, because a lot of the comedy is sexism. The main girl and main guy are interesting enough characters. I actually like that they have no romantic chemistry because girls and guys can just be friends. But there's this pretty girl obsessed with the main guy who has delulued herself into thinking the main girl is seducing her man and every other man around her. Also, main dude isn't even into the pretty girl anyway, so it's impossible for anyone to steal him from her. There's another side girl whose entire existence is just every guy in school constantly hitting on her and her being like, no thanks. And the way she's utterly unfazed is, I guess, supposed to be funny, but it's just insanely depressing to me. Guys, if your friends act like this towards a woman, tell them that they're being a fucking creeper. Oh my god. I honestly love the parts of this that are about explaining electronics in a simple way and showing the main girl gain confidence in repairing things. We need more knowledge about this in general and more of a tendency to repair things and the right to repair things. But this anime's not it. Mediocre. Ninja to Koroshiya no Futari Gurashi. A ninja and an assassin living together. Also known as Ninkoro. Our main character is an escapee from a ninja village, something incredibly difficult to achieve and mysterious since she's an utter fail ninja, so it's a miracle she made it out. But the escape isn't over because the punishment for going AWOL is death. Thankfully, her first friend... ninja no ikidaore da. To be an extremely skilled assassin. In classic anime fashion, she's also a high schooler. And so begins a wacky comedy about murder and lesbianism. Could this be any more up my alley? And when I say lesbian, I don't mean Yuri bait. We have an explicit lesbian couple here. Ninkuro's strength is that they sometimes step back from the dark comedy and take its time with the plot and developing the characters. And the dark comedy itself, there are heart-rendingly fucked up scenes here, and the fact that it can swerve between that and hilarious so smoothly. Speaking of smooth, this animation? Damn! Here's the tea. Apocalypse Hotel is probably the best new anime of the season, but Ninkoro is my favorite. Highly recommend. Miru Watashi no Mirai. Some strange white-haired girl on a strange planet says some stuff about the butterfly effect and then sends her sci-fi robots through time to do some stuff. Normally the butterfly effect is cited as a reason you shouldn't do this kind of stuff, but whatever. Our first focus character is this grumpy old drunk who works in space debris cleanup. It seems he was once a really good, strict teacher for important astronaut types. Please forgive me. Sci-fi is not the vocabulary set I would have chosen to watch Raw, but I couldn't find subs for this. When his daughter died in a freak space debris accident, he gave it all up to become a space cleaner, hoping to find some sign of his missing daughter. I love the idea of this. It's a bit of an anthology show, character-driven, but with the butterfly effect theming and magic space robots to help save the day. But it's really, really blunt, and the animation is pretty ugly. It makes it a lot harder to attach to the characters and feel their subtle emotions, which is something I think this kind of storytelling really needs to be told well. I'll say it's mediocre, and if it's not subtitled, you're probably not missing out too badly. Moonrise. After a cold open to show off that the anime can do flashy action that would probably be more effective if we knew or cared what was going on, we go back in time to show Jack's origin story. He's basically Tony Stark. He's the adopted son of a rich couple who run a mega corporation, and they're about to open up an elevator to the moon, as we learned through my first ever exposition TED Talk. Surely nothing the Shadow Corporation does could go horribly wrong, right? This anime has some fun fights, in which people I don't know anything about fight, and I'm supposed to care. Also, for a couple episodes after the first, we hadn't caught up chronologically to the cold open, so I don't even have the tension of worrying that someone's gonna die, because I know they're in this upcoming scene. This shit is why I don't watch trailers. Unfortunately, this just felt like a lot of flash. It hasn't spent enough time letting us know the characters, so I just end up not caring. And fight scenes are way less cool when you don't care. Good for thee, not for me. Theogonia. Humanity is beset upon by Ajin, monsters of different clans, pigmen and macaques. A single one of these brutes can take out multiple trained fighters, which every village needs. Some people have a land god's blessing, which can really help turn the tide, but is not exclusive to humans. The other races can have them as well. I guess we're not supposed to think about the way these pig people and macaques have their own languages and gods and just take humanity's side, even though we see people use their blessings as an excuse to hoard food and wealth while the poor get poorer. Anime needs to stop assuming I will just take humanity's side without any justification. This is something of a stealth isekai. Kai has no meaningful memories of his past life, but occasionally gets foreign thoughts, craving something called a rice ball when he doesn't even know what that is, and some errant thoughts about magic. He turns his fortune around using that knowledge and his own hard work. There's nothing really wrong with this anime, but also nothing grips me. There were multiple episodes where I said, well, I'm gonna try one more, but I'm probably gonna drop this. And then I would enjoy the episode enough to repeat the process again and again. It just pales in comparison to the rest of the anime this season, especially if, like me, you like anime women who are important to the plot and not just wife material. Good for thee, not for me. Hibi wa sugire do meshi umashi. Food for the soul. Our main girl had a group of friends in middle school, but moved away in high school and wasn't really able to make any new connections there and became kind of withdrawn. She spends much of her time watching cooking and food review videos made by this weird mascot thing. Meanwhile, some of her friends happen to be going to the same university and they want to make a club. What club? They don't give a fuck. They don't want a club so much as they want a club room, and they're trying to skirt around regulations. They run into our main girl, who helps them make their club legit, becoming a food research club, which basically just means they hang out, cook food, and sometimes travel places to eat food. I love that they're university students, and I like the themes of challenging yourself while still being chill. I got more into it as the season went on, which I think is a good sign. It shows that I was drawn into the characters and their escapades. Minus an unfortunate weight gain diet episode, this was a great time. Well animated, charming, incredibly easy watch. I'm going to stick with Orestria likey for this though, because if you're into cute girls doing cute things anime, Zatsutabi is an anime about a mangaka traveling. Food for the Soul is an anime about girls in a club eating nice food. In the middle of that Venn diagram, we have Mono, weekend animation. God, this is such an ensemble cast, I don't even think I have someone who I feel is the main character. So this girl, who, like, she's 100% a lesbian, joined her school's photography club entirely because she wanted to take photos of her senpai, which is fine because her bestie joined the club to watch the first girl taking photos of her senpai. The problem with falling for your upperclassmen is that they're going to leave school before you. The girls meet a mangaka living in the back room of a local store and start hanging out there, traveling, going on food rallies, sometimes remembering to take photos of things. Also, there's a cat. Someone backdoored a mangaka self-insert into a cute girls doing cute things anime, but it's so funny, so charming, and so well animated that it nevertheless works. There's also a strong undercurrent of creepy occult shit, mostly for the laughs. Anime that run on pure charm like this are extremely hard to explain the appeal of, because you just need to get into the bed that is this anime and pull the comforter it provides up and snuggle it. I'll add that it's by the same mangaka as Yuru Camp, lovingly animated, and shove it in my recommended tier. Sentai Daishikaku Go Go Loser Ranger Season 2. Earth gets invaded, but it's cool because we have the Dragon Keepers, and every Sunday the invaders send some fighters and a new boss to an arena, and they fight and lose to the Rangers. If that sounds sus as hell, you are correct. The Rangers kicked the asses of and subjugated the fighters long ago and make them battle for the clout. The fighters aren't very strong, but they are virtually immortal. The boss battles at the Coliseum are just fighters using their transformation abilities for show. Cue Fighter D, who has had enough of this bullshit and decides to make a difference. He takes a human form and infiltrates the Rangers with the goal of destroying them from within. I have heard manga fans complain about this season being rushed, which... yeah, I can see it, but I still had fun. This anime is great, wicked, wickedly funny, horrible death, fascinating characters and character interactions, conflicting motivations. This season, I just saved it all up so I could binge watch it, which, if you're watching these reviews, has already happened for you. Recommend.
The recommended anime for this season are Apothecary Diaries, Rock is a Lady's Dignity, Generic Kowloon Romance, Apocalypse Hotel, Ninkoro, Mono Weekend Story, and Go-Go Loser Ranger. That's a pretty good variety, honestly. Good. Now it's time for the Trans Non-Binary Highlight.
Tsubaki from Windbreaker. Admittedly, I'm no longer watching Windbreaker, but I've heard that there's a gender non-conforming character named Tsubaki. Considering this is an anime that's kind of macho-coded and all about tough guys punching each other, it's honestly really fucking cool that one of these people is not a guy. Jill from Lazarus. Jill is a trans lady and leader of a homeless encampment. She's a very brief side character, sure, but there are a lot of homeless trans people, because families are not always accepting. Axel, by the way, knew her before her transition, but almost immediately swaps to using her new name because it's just not that hard. She's also a respected member of her community and a big help to Axel. Side note, I was pissed that the subtitles added stuff to her lines. In Japanese, she just says, "See you later, eh?" But in English, they say, "See you later, sweetie." Unnecessary. Hey, look! It's the one character I knew from the game before the anime. Bridget from Guilty Gear. Bridget is such a woman that her job in the episode I watched is to rescue a small child and then be rescued in turn. Bluesky also made me aware of this scene, which happened in an episode that I was no longer watching, so here you go.
形って自分で探さないとダメなんです。うちはそうです。
Kowloon generic romance. Seriously, queerest het romance ever. Please note, the following is very much spoilers. Skip ahead to this time to skip spoilers for this anime. Heavy Numa is intersex and says he doesn't know what he would say if you asked him about his gender. He's in an off and on again relationship with a gay man. We also get the reveal that Xiaohei is Xiaohei. That must be an amazing sentence for people who haven't watched this. See, there's this cute Lolita fashion-obsessed girl named Xiaohei, and there's this tall, cool dude named Xiaohei, and due to weird sci-fi stuff, these are actually past and present versions of the same person. After going through puberty, Xiaohei felt like the pretty dresses he'd always liked didn't suit him anymore. But it also seems like he really regrets that he doesn't feel comfortable with them, and clearly still loves these things. Kudos to Sushi! We get a cameo from my favorite anime disaster queen, Grell. People may argue with me, saying that Grell is an effeminate gay guy rather than falling in this category, but you know what? She calls herself a girl, and that's enough for me. If Grell had had anything to fucking do this season, she could have been Best Girl. Best Boy nominees. Tsurumi from Mumu. The main love interest, but he's not the typical shiny school president popular kid. He is a stylish guy, but totally unbothered. He's so useless with electronics he can't tell a AA battery from a AAA, and he has memos to remind him how to use his camera. Keigo from Witch Watch. A loser hipster, but well-meaning. He'll put in the effort to help his friends, if nothing else. And a lot of the hipster stuff is a front to try and seem cooler than he is. Choosing a best boy from this season is incredibly difficult because two of my all-time favorite anime boys are both here. There's a saying that having kids makes your life a roller coaster with high highs and low lows. But not having a kid is more of a consistent joy, but maybe never quite as high. Choosing between Sebastian from Kuroshi Sushi and Jinshi from Apothecary Diaries is such a dilemma that I ended up using this framework to help me decide. How do he forgive me? I'm putting Sebastian as runner-up, because while he's always generally charming, the high points where his demonic side is on display are relatively rare. Although those high points where his demonic side is on display are probably the most hype I get for anything in anime. But Jinshi is a delight every time he's on screen. It isn't as easy to think of one scene that's amazing like it is with Sebastian. The interactions between Jinshi and Mao Mao are the highlights of the anime, which is saying a lot because it's an amazing anime. In some ways, he gets her a lot more than most people do, but he's also stymied by her. It's fun watching him do all kinds of political maneuvering. You can feel how clever he is, and then he just gets totally flummoxed by Mao Mao. The nominees for Best Girl. Suzuki from Food for the Soul is a whole ass vibe. She's chill and relaxed, maybe a bit lazy, but not dumb, and she's willing to put in the work to help her friends. She's also sheep-themed for no reason, and I love it. Well, not no reason. Suzuki intentionally sounds like the Japanese word for sheep, hitsushi. I'm too lispy for this shit. Saint Mia from The Two Perfect Saint. This anime has two main plot lines. It would have been totally fine if it was about Philia getting out of her abusive situation and being healed by her new relationships. But on the other side, we have Saint Mia, Saint of Vengeance, burning the country to the ground for what they did to Philia. So much fucking fun cheering for her. I feel like if you've been watching these videos at all, you already know my best girl is Mao Mao. Mao Mao is one of the best femme anime characters to come out of the industry since I started seasonal watching. Probably neurodivergent and Arrow Ace, but still doing well navigating courtly politics, solving mysteries, and pulling adorable faces. Especially when given a wonderful present like a new poison to try out. I had a great time in Canada this summer, and that means this video has a lot less footage than normal. We went casual mode today. It also means I'm deeper into the new season than I usually am at time of recording, and there are so much good anime airing this summer. I can't wait to talk to you about it next time. Bye!